Welcome to Specifically About Quality, the podcast by Qualitywise, where we explore the principles, practices, and challenges of modern quality management. We will discuss key concepts, share real-world examples, and bring clarity to the complexities of quality management. In each episode, we provide insights for quality managers and professionals, helping you lead with confidence, ensure compliance, and drive continuous improvement. This podcast is here to support your work and your impact. Clear, focused, practical. Let's get into today's episode. Hi everyone, and welcome back to Qualitywise podcast. I'm Agata Lewkowska, quality management system expert with years of experience in automotive industry. Today, again with me is Christopher Scott.
And I'm Christopher Scott, an expert in quality assurance and operational excellence in the automotive industry as well.
At the very beginning, before we'll start talking about our specific topic for today, let me just take an opportunity to thank you for your interest and engagement in listening to Specifically About Quality by Qualitywise. Really, it means a lot for us, and therefore we also ask you to follow this podcast and leave your comments, as it is for us a real sign that Qualitywise recordings are needed. Thank you again.
Today we're getting strategic, literally. We're talking about how to turn quality vision into an actionable, measurable plan.
Good topic. I think this will be very helpful for those professionals in the organization who are responsible to working with operational quality. Sometimes we could see that the quality strategy lives in the PowerPoint because it was presented for a board of management and we had to prepare some slides, but it never reaches the production floor, which would be very surprising. And today's episode is about simply making sure that it does. Yes, we'll talk about this, how to make this what was planned once as a strategy will be executed later. So let's start with the question, why strategic quality planning matters, yes? Chris, what do you see from your experiences in this topic?
Chaos. So this is lots of activity, but not always much of an impact on the production or the operations or the efficiency of the operation. You get duplicate efforts. So these are things like double handling, reactive firefighting, and no clear link between quality goals and the business direction. They are pulling away from each other.
Good statement. Link between quality goals and business direction. Definitely about the goals we will talk in this episode, but 1 second about this, please wait more. And if the leaders would say, we're not seeing value from our quality management system, I hope this is not true anyway, but this could be the symptom that the strategy isn't aligned with our quality management system, yes? So that's why today we just don't want any organization to hear such statement from your leadership. And today we would like to talk about the execution of this strategy quality planning.
Exactly. So good quality strategy connects your mission with measurable, visible actions. This is for every department and every role. So what I mean by maybe mission is that it's a brief declaration outlining your organization's core purpose, its goals, how it aims to achieve them. It essentially communicates why the organization exists and what it does for its stakeholders and interested parties.
So let's start with understanding the business vision, which will be connected with this, what you've said about the mission. So we know why strategic quality planning matters, but where do we start, Chris?
Yeah, I'm going to do it in kind of a stages kind of thing. So step 1, understand your organization's business vision. What are the CEO and board talking about? What matters to them? Market expansion, new technologies, faster deliveries, more sales, better customer satisfaction, maybe. What about for you, Agata? What would you say?
I will stick to this, to what you've said, just that quality must serve those goals, yes? For example, let's talk about even zero defects direction. Actually, a series of webinars which Qualitywise hosted, and you can still see the recordings available on our Qualitywise YouTube. But if your vision is zero defects, but your metrics only track complaints, there is a mismatch, yes? That's why I would say that you need to create your quality strategy aligned with the goals. You can't simply neglect it. However, Chris, you've said more about new technology, market expansion, fast delivery. When talking about new technologies, it's, to prepare our organization in terms of quality for new launches. So here, if I want to introduce new technology, I need to be prepared for meeting the requirements by applying robust project management according to APQP or VDMLA or any other specifically to my customer. But this means that from very beginning, even if the leadership had a business vision, me as a quality professional responsible for execution later this business vision by implementing new technologies, I need to do everything to prepare quality management system, and quality organization in the plant for launching this new technology. Yes, and this is important to regard as a starting point.
Yes, and I would like to expand on that maybe a little bit further. If your company wants to grow in electric vehicle production, your quality strategy might need to focus on new customer-specific requirements instead of, diesel or internal combustion engine type components. If you're talking about vehicle manufacturing specifically for automotive, faster PPAP cycles, completing new launch, or training on advanced technologies. So it's about the newness. What's new against the old, and what do you need to adapt and change and learn in a faster way? I think what we can move on to, Agata, is defining strategic quality objectives. So I'd like to hear your view on that.
Once you have the vision, the next step is defining clear strategic quality objectives. Strategy is actually the expression of top management, how to make the operational success, I will call it like that, by specific activities. But the activities needs to be monitored somehow. Yeah. So monitoring is connected with setting the quality objectives. And let me maybe come back to ISO 9001. I really love working with quality requirements, so I will let myself to do this in this way. At the very beginning, when we create our quality management system or work in quality management system, we need to align this quality management system with the strategic direction of our organization. And this is the first point. The second point is that the strategic direction must be presented and reflected in the quality policy. Quality policy must support this strategic direction. And why am I saying about this? Because now I'm jumping lower level into the quality objectives. Quality objectives must be derived from quality policy. So you can see I made a circle starting from strategy formulation through quality policy to quality objectives. Yes. So this is a must to meet the requirements, yes? And this is something which you will be verified during the audit.
Yes, and they should be SMART. You've probably heard this acronym before, especially if you work in a large organization when we're talking about appraisals or yearly reviews of your performance management. But what does SMART mean, just to remind ourselves? It means specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. And we do actually have an article on SMART objectives or having objective-based, so you're more than welcome to visit qualitywise.pl to look at our blog and look into our objective-based SMART targets. But to give an example, for instance, if you want to reduce customer complaints by 30% in 12 months or complete a failure mode effect analysis revisions for the top 5 platforms by Q3, these statements comply with the SMART framework.
Mm-hmm. And when we are talking also about the goals, I should remind you that, of course, the quality goals should be defined for the processes, for functions, and levels in the organizations. Yeah. So please do not think that quality objectives must be allocated into a department, in the quality department or any other department. Yes. Let's not think about the departments. We'll think about these 3 categories, what I've said. Yes. And such thinking will support cross-functional thinking and actually involving of the people, yes? Because if we are talking about the processes, in any single process, there can be more people than from one single department, yes? And therefore, we may say, we can have the conclusion that more people is working on quality objectives which are aligned with strategic direction of our organization. Did I say right, Chris?
Right. So what I would say is that quality strategy only works when purchasing or procurement engineering, logistics, and production are part of the planning. And the danger is the poison chalice of the sort of phrase is quality. It's not just quality's responsibility, it's everyone, including the strategy and planning. So this is the downside of having the phrase quality strategy, because they believe it's only one department that owns it. I think what I'd like to move on further is about APQP, to talk about that briefly. Advanced product quality planning, but actually it's a tool just to ensure that you have a good concept to realization and product launch. Let's move on. I think breaking strategy into projects and ownership. So now you have the goals. What would be next for you, Agata, in that stage?
So we talked about the goals, but again, with the projects, I must say that new launches or project management, even in automotive industry, also requires monitoring and also requires aligning this progress in actually reaching customer goals. So this is why I wanted to remind all of you about these goals. However, when we are talking about the projects, we also have to have definition. Who is doing what, when it has to be done, with what resources. So actually, even you mentioned APQP, but VDMLA is also pretty similar in this. The resources must be defined. And in APQP, this is the initial phase to define all this, I would say, project management activities, yes. And here, there is a moment in this activity to really concentrate on this. What we have, which resources, do we have competences, who needs to be involved, yes, do we have risk-based thinking, did we establish KPIs, and so on, yes. Of course, APQP is much more precise than what I've said right now, but I don't want to, talk only about APQP today. However, please bear in mind that in project management, the ownership must be really present, especially in such tasks like introduction from recognizing the requirements to serial production. We have many functions involved into the success of such launch. Yes.
And that's a great point. I just want to reiterate, assign owners, people who own the task or the issue or the problem. If no one owns a goal, it dies in a spreadsheet. And if they're not aware that it's their responsibility to do it, then no one's going to do the work. So I think that's a great point.
I have now a thought about some tools which actually could be helpful for such management of the goals, like Hoshin-Kanri or X-Matrix, yes. And this is a strategic planning approach that could align company objectives with individual actions at all levels. And it's a lean method for ensuring the strategic goals and drive progress and action. And the process involves communication strategy to individuals, when the actions must be done, who takes the responsibility for the actions, with feedback, and so on and so on. Yes, and everything is adjusted to the strategy. And the second tool which I mentioned, the X-Matrix, is also a tool actually used in Hoshin-Kanri for strategic planning and implementation, but this is on one page, actually, the documentation in a visual form with the organization's long-term objectives and its annual goals, yes? So this is in a smaller time perspective, yes? This can help prioritization and indicating the metrics. And the X-Matrix can help ensure that all levels of an organization are aligned and actually working towards shared strategic goals. And these tools can be one example, but also there is a balance scorecard, yes? But balance scorecard is a completely different tool, but also a tool that works with the goals. I won't talk more about balance scorecard. Just in case, on Qualitywise blog, you have an article. I would be very pleased if you would read it.
Yes, and that's a great point. So just to expand upon that and check that your QMS documents actually support these projects. So the procedures, your work instructions or SOPs, audits, everything should reflect your strategic priorities as an organization.
Mm-hmm.
So I think what we could move on to is something what we are used to is monitoring, metrics and adaptation.
Oh, yes. Because we started with the goals, and actually what would be the use of these goals if you would not monitor them? So this is just about following up on this, how we progress. Yes? Would you agree, Chris?
Yeah, I would agree. So I think it's kind of a mix of lagging indicators. And what do we mean by that? In jargon, I guess. Lagging indicators are things like parts per million or PPM, so number of complaints, number of non-conformances sent to you by the customer, that's a lagging, that's a delay. If you have a leading indicator, these are things like order completion rate. You're getting ahead of the problem or the issue. Something like a failure mode effect analysis update cycle, or training coverage, proactively doing these things rather than waiting for them to be a problem. So one is a negative indicator, like a lagging indicator, and the other one can be used in more of a positive sense to find problems before they actually cause the issue. And like I said, from your side, what would you like to say on that?
Yes, actually, when we are talking about monitoring, we can't say this is one-time event. This has to be done regularly based on the time frame which we will define in the organization. Of course, again, leadership has the responsibility for process effectiveness and efficiency according to IATF. However, we will also find the responsibility for processes monitoring at management review. But management review is, I would say, one-time event per year, even because at least annually it has to be reviewed. But this is, let's say, not the way we want to monitor what is happening in our organization. So maybe monthly or even weekly in some cases can be a better time frame to monitor some specific KPIs. But generally, in ISO 9001, in the chapter 9, when we are talking about monitoring and measurement, analysis and evaluation, we need to define in our organization what is done, when it's done, and how it is done, yes? Everything connected to these activities which I mentioned now. Let me repeat: monitoring, measurement, analysis, and evaluation. So exactly the outcome from monitoring, yes?
Exactly. And be ready to adapt. So if a project isn't working, pivot. So change something up. Don't keep repeating the same cycles if it's not working. So the idea is that strategic planning is dynamic. It's not carved in stone. It's not a one-time event, and it's not fixed. It gives you the idea that you can move and adapt and change. I think what we can move on to maybe, Agata, is something called a real-world example, maybe from our experience. So from mine, I would say maybe a success story where we've trained it into execution. So I would say that there's a tier 1 automotive supplier that I can remember where they reduced the warranty returns by 40%. They created, 3 work streams, one on 8D training because they weren't very good at doing the 8 disciplines and executing that. One was updating legacy control plans that were outdated, non-conforming, misaligned to the reality. And the final one would be preventative maintenance in critical cells where if they break down, you would have a line stop. The line stop then disrupts the customer. So each had a project leader, regular checkpoints, and visible KPIs we could see through 4M visual management, or the main positive and negative leading and lagging indicators, what was going on in that workstation and those areas.
Mm-hmm. So may I ask you a question? Did they hit their goal?
Almost. And that was, they hit 32%, which is really close. They aim for 40%, as I mentioned. 32 is still a good attempt. Sometimes your targets are not achievable, but you need to achieve something or aim for something. So this was in the first year. More importantly, they built a habit of working strategically across those departments. So this was the first time they really had to go at doing this as a cross-functional activity, 3 different work streams, and it was a really good objective and improvement activity.
Maybe the goal was too ambitious. Could be also.
It could be. I think sometimes it can be too ambitious or unrealistic, but you have to aim somewhere. If it's the first time you've done it, you start with the target, as I mentioned. And strategically, you can adjust that target. If that target's not realistic in the second year, then you need to change the increment. But in my experience, I would say you need to aim for a stretch target. You don't want to give yourself a target which is too easy to achieve, because if that was 5%, easy to achieve. It needs to be demanding. It needs to be a challenge. If it's not challenging, people aren't stimulated. And if they're not stimulated, they're not motivated to do the improvement.
Mm-hmm. Okay. But it's of course possible that you can change your goals even during the year. Do not think that once established in January, you need to keep with that level, that goal, till the next January. So please remember about this. Okay. I think we can wrap up slowly. So let me just tell you at the end that strategic quality planning, it shouldn't be our luxury, but it should be our essential daily work, yes? It connects your system to your goals and your people to a purpose. Would you agree?
Yes, it's hard to disagree. And when it works, it transforms quality from a compliance function to a competitive advantage. At Qualitywise, we help companies turn vision into execution. We offer strategic planning Whether you're starting from scratch or refining what you have, we'll help you align your quality system with your business goals.
So visit qualitywise.pl and download our free roadmap, which will be a summary of this episode, Strategic Planning in 7 Steps. It's a great place to begin your strategy journey. So thank you for tuning in, and remember, strategy without execution is just a dream. Let's make quality strategic and real. Thank you.